Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Firstly, I would like to thank you, SHRDC, NEXCOM, and the organizer invite me to be here to share a little bit about on the importance of an ERP system for the manufacturing industry. Right. Okay. Okay, let me do a simple introduction about my company. My company is a CRT Insights Technology Sdn Bhd. Okay, we are established since year 2006. Our HQ is in Johor Bahru. Okay, basically we are offering business consulting, customized software, and the ERP system, as well as the help desk support for our customer in the market. Okay, the industry we are serving right now is including of the engineering, manufacturing, distribution, and the life science industry. Okay, we do have the office in the Kuala Lumpur and the Singapore. Okay, so following is a few our trusted customers that we have served along the way. I think some of you may be familiar. For example, Clayton, who is using the ERP solution since the year 2002 until now. And we do for some of the F&B like Taitong. Okay, so this is some of the background related for my company. Okay, so do not delay for anything. So I will move on for today's sharing. So during the last section conducted by the Mr. Alex that in the 23rd, it did share about the manufacturing topology. Okay, so ERP is part of that in this topology in the level 3 that you can see there is the ERP. So today we are going to share a little bit about on what is the ERP system and why it is important for the manufacturing industry. Okay, what is ERP system? Okay, ERP system, the full terms we will talk about manufacturing resource planning system. Okay, it's a type of the software for the organization used to manage day-to-day transactions and activity across the organization. So it connected from the production, from the demand, from the sales side when you're receiving, up to the production planning and the marketing into one management system. Okay. And then with the integration of the data and the information across the department, all right, it's allowed quick and easy data for the management to do the analysis. Right. So when we talk about ERP system, of course, nowadays the ERP system is also integrated with a lot of the intelligence cloud computing, the big data analysis, which is data. Dr. Chua will share with you the data analytical strategy on that. Okay. Right. So in the current market, that when a lot of the people talk about digitalization and enterprise, okay, resource planning, so it's a key part of the digital backbone for the company that if you need to move your industry to the digitalization. Okay. So example that such as a structured data into a financial transaction that currently the finance, whatever the transaction, the posting from the operation to the financial science. Okay. So let us move to look at a little bit on the history before the ERP system is in the market. Okay, it's born. Okay, since the so this is the chart that to share with you about the evaluation of the ERP system. Okay, so since the 1960s, it's already started with the many organization is creating a solution to do the mainly for the inventory control, right? On the demand, okay, using by a lot of the organization. With the evaluation on the 1970s, the material resource planning system has been developed and has been involved in the planning, starting from the demand, okay, and then of course the processing side. So on the 1980s, manufacturing resource planning tool has been come out in the market. Okay, so following that, all right, in the route, okay, on the 1990s, okay, ERP system, okay, has the foundation for the AMRP and MRP2, okay, integrate the business, including all the manufacturing to the demand. Sorry about that now. Okay, the demand and the project management, including the inventory side. When we come to the current stage, the ERP has been extended to the e-commerce and then the search. That means you can access online and internet everywhere you are. Okay, so this is the evaluation for the ERP system. All right, so after we're seeing what is the ERP system, so now we have to know how the business value that an ERP system is bring to a business. Okay, let's look at the what is the business value. Okay, for an ERP system will bring to your industry. Okay, by deploying a single and comprehensive of the data. Okay, so you can be automatically pull all the information, connect all the people and process in a single and unified solution. That's where the data can be quickly and easily shared with your key personnel throughout the organization. You will have the access, right, so that you are able to make the most decision here. So by using the latest ERP system here, by using the ERP system, is to connect with the third-party applications such as the MES, a banking, a CRM, as well the payroll system. Okay, and so this is the ERP system component that normally we will see. Yeah, we will find in most of the ERP system. So under the financial management, normally we will see the account receivables, account payables, and the banking and the fixed asset as well, the closing. So in terms of operation, it can be defined, it can have found the like forecasting module, production, and the manufacturing capacity, which help you to manage your machine, okay, capacity and the machine cost and the downtime you are able to upload it here. Okay, and then of course, there is another component added in the normal ERP system. You see some of the reporting tools, okay, and built-in intelligence such as the Power BI. A lot of the ERP system right now in the market, you can see it is able to integrate with the Power BI, one of the business analysis tools, intelligent tools that you will find in the market. Okay. All right. By deploying another business value that the ERP system will bring to you is allow you to be accessed anyway. So I think nowadays a lot of people will carry the mobile, the tablet in every way. So what we need is we need an ERP system which can allow us to access our data in area and with the single platform. That means you can have a consistent look that your user do not have to spend a lot of time to learning the new interface and the platform by accessing, and they can be reacted faster when customer have any inquiry or any financing data that management is required. Okay, as a business, we all need a happy customer. So when we need a happy customer, so we need a system that, a ERP system, which can be enhance the visibility of the inventory in the warehouse. For example, as a sales personnel, today they receive a call inquiry from the customer. If we compare to the past, we may have to call back to the office to check to the warehouse side. Do you have the enough inventory for the shipment? If there's no inventory, they may have to do the inquiry that can I ask the production, can you produce it? And production may need to spend a time to check their system just to get back. So this will delay the customer response. But with using the single database and platform, the sales personnel can review the inventory availability on time by themselves instead of calling the office, and they can do the order promising by click on the system that to share with the team, say that, okay, are we able to commit on the customer request that. Okay, of course, beside that, okay, the best way for increase the customer satisfaction is to understand your customer more. By using the ERP, you can manage most of the customer information to share in the organization, like what is the preference for the customer, what is the purchasing, buying behavior for the customer, okay? And then, of course, it will allow you all people to be assessed whenever they are. For example, you are serving the overseas customer, so your sales team is in the overseas, so they can access the system and reply to the customer immediately as well. Okay, so another point that for the business value for the ERP system is they will automate and secure your business process. That means we can be mentioned that how they can streamline the business process by simplify to create a workflow control. Meaning that today you had a sales. Over the past, we need to we receive the sales by the sales personnel, the credit department. may have to be checked the credit before they grant it the customer, you can be proceed the order or not. But with the workflow configuration in the current ERP system, you see in the market that, so it can trigger the action, add like a credit control to check that whether the customer is it over the credit limit, is it any overdue. So this will reduce the company credit risk. Okay, so whether you are authorized or not, they will trigger to the HOD to approve it. So this will also like help to improve the payment process. Beside that, this means when there is a PO, you can configure as well to control the purchasing process. All right. So whether how much value you want to buy, whether you got enough cash flow or not before you grant the purchase order to process accordingly or not. So ensure the compliance with audit trail. I think we do face that. We would like to know a compliance, okay, for the audit trail that who modified the thing when the entry changings when come to the enterprise level, because you have more and more stuff in play. So you will need a control. You cannot be checked in one by. So by deploying a system here that you can have the function that to trigger, okay, what's happened and then what is the changes is made on the delayed order. So this will reduce a conflict and the data controlling part, okay? And then you can gain a better insight into how your business is performing business as a business owner. So we need to have a quick data, for example, real-time income statement, real-time cash flow, so that it can help us to make a decision when we want to buy in or when we want to spend some money to expand the organization. Okay. So the last but not the least, for the business value that we see is most of the time when we a company is grow, okay, we need a system which is ready to be grow with us. So as per the normal ERP system that you're deploying right now, it will be, you can be start deploying the portion by portion on the solution you are required. And when the time is reached, for example, now we talk about smart digital technology. So by using that, you can be start integrate your solution with the technology like the MES, the ASRS system that to automate the data collection from the shop floor and to reduce the human data entry error. Then you can get the real-time data immediate. All right. So on top of that is the financial compliance. Your company is in growing, so you will go to a different country in the worldwide. So every country have their own financial regulation or the tax compliance. For example, when you are developing in the Vietnam, the country is require all the company in the Vietnam, when you issue invoice to their Vietnam personnel, you need to have a company, you need to have a e-invoice, you need to link with the e-invoice system to submit it before you can be released to the customer. So by using the ERP system, which is in the which available all this integration, then it will be help you to grow faster in any country you want. So, okay, all right. So by all these business value in place, so of course, this will lead all the company to have a better control in your business and to increase the margin, because you are able to view the data to calculate all the demand and supply just in time to bring in instead of stock up a lot of the raw material in your warehouse. And then it will run your company in the growth. Okay. All right. So okay, so let me share with you some of the top ERP systems. So in here you can see this is some of the top ERP player in the market. Some you may be very familiar, like SAP, like Oracle, the Microsoft, like Cisco, like Sage. So this is most of the well-known ERP system that has been quite well-known in the manufacturing industry that you may look into that. Okay, right. Okay, so we talk about what is the business value, what is the ERP. You may be asked, do I really need an ERP system? I think this is a lot of company will be asked this question when they start looking for a system. When I need to have an ERP system, why I need to have an ERP system? Perhaps you can be, you are the first time or you are already using any ERP system, right? You can look at the following setup. You're having a problem here. Okay, some of the issue that we are mentioned here. Okay, for example, is you're using the silo system right now. This means the system you are using is disconnected, sales has the sales data, and purchasing have the purchasing system. So you couldn't have a single system to have the viewing the information and react to the customer. Because of the silo system, that's why you have the duplicate data. That's mean sales order may be managed by the sales team. In the meanwhile, it also managed by the production side because they need the sales data for doing the planning during the production. So this will be the duplication data coming in. So you may involve a manual process because of the user have to be keep repeating key in the same data in the different system they are using. So do you have enough reporting to react to the current market trend? For example, current COVID-19 that we all facing now. So you need to some report to know what is the market trend right now, what is the buying behavior for the customer, what is the aging look like. Do you have that if sufficient report that to help you in this part? Do you have any security issues? So you want to open your system to access by the user, by your user to be respond. So is your current system have enough security control rate granted that instead of let the data leaking out and to protect the company data? So this is a few of the questions that you can ask. You can review it in your organization if you would like to deploying some of the ERP, if you will have considered to deploying the ERP system. Okay. All right, so before I end off what I'm sharing today, let me share with you a video here in case to see how to success an ERP system to help out in the manufacturing company.
I am Steve Cates. I'm the president of Ray Allen Manufacturing. Ray Allen Manufacturing is a portfolio company. We focus on direct marketing and customer segmentation, product innovation. Today, our niches are Ray Allen Manufacturing, which caters to the police and military canine market, as well as J&J Dog Supplies, which caters to the AKC, obedience, and agility markets. The canine equipment we sell is unique. We manufacture a lot of our own products. The base company, Ray Allen Manufacturing, was purchased in 2007 by a private equity company. I came on board in 2010. Since that time, we were growing at double digits each year organically. But in 2012, we made an acquisition of J&J Dog Supplies. We were running on a legacy system, and integration of the different components of the business, especially with the acquisition, running two different customer segments, two different product mixes under the same P&L and the same inventory caused problems. We felt like it was time to stabilize the current business and get prepared for even more growth. One of the reasons we selected the Acumatica ERP is because it had a base foundation that we were really happy with, but it also allowed us to add best-of-breed products on the other side. Since a large portion of our business is manufacturing, we added the Jazz manufacturing module, which gives us more insight into that side of our business. Since we do a lot of e-commerce business, we added the Magento platform using Kinsium solutions for better integration and seamless customer experience. Our Acumatica partner was M2 Technologies. They were instrumental in helping us coordinate the different systems that we were combining. Their knowledge of the system helped us as we customized some things within the system to make it more catered to our business. The benefits since we've been on Acumatica have been vast. I love the reporting in Acumatica, having customer insights and product mix insights, looking at the product life cycle and inventory turns. It's just supremely important for me. From a company standpoint, the things I hear about is just the efficiencies and the ease of use. The fact that Acumatica offers unlimited user license was important to us as a company that's looking to grow organically as well as acquisitions, because it allows us to expand without having to contact the vendor and renegotiate for more users. We can just keep the business moving. Going forward, Acumatica is going to be instrumental in our growth.
Okay,
I am Steve Cates. I'm the
all right, that's all. That's what I'm going to share from today. Thank you. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining the webinar session this morning. Here I'm going to present to everybody today on the data analytics strategies for smart manufacturing. So I hope you can see my screen, and welcome everybody on this very lovely Friday morning. So today I'll share with everyone on the data analytics strategies for smart manufacturing. And I hope I would be able to provide some good insights with regards to how a manufacturing industry can apply data analytics strategies to really optimize their operations and to really achieve better productivity and of course better efficiency in their normal operations. So let's take a look at an overview of data analytics for smart manufacturing. So the 4 types of data analytics, as you can see here in this chart, basically if you look at the chart of complexity versus the added value contribution, right? We are looking at analytics at every level, right? Even today, even the simplest form of, descriptive analytics, which is, identifying if something went wrong, what happened, right? And diagnostic analytics is something that we do on a very daily basis. For example, if your machine is down, you will go and look at it and you will try to find the root cause of what happened, right? So those are, the descriptive and diagnostic analytics. But what you want to do further is to really add more contribution to what you are actually doing now using predictive and of course prescriptive analytics to moving forward. Now, what does descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive analytics do for you? So descriptive analytics gives you hindsight on what happened, right? And then when you look at what happened, you want to know why did it actually happen. So diagnostic analytics gives you more insight, right, into your operations, and predictive analytics give you more foresight. Basically, by applying predictive analytics, it gives you forecasting of what could happen next, right, based on the historical data trends that you actually have in the past history. And of course, when you want to look at optimization, you want to optimize your operations, that's where you look at prescriptive analytics. Basically, it will tell you how you could make it happen, right, giving you suggestions, giving you other forms of areas where you can actually look into to really optimize your operations. So in terms of maintenance strategies, I think this is one of the very simpler things that really rely on predictive maintenance a lot. And when you look at the evolution of maintenance strategies, right, you start from reactive, right, which is you fix your machine when it breaks down completely. I think this is where a lot of people or a lot of manufacturing industries were, right? And then slowly they started to look into preventive maintenance, which is basically scheduling your maintenance to prevent your breakdowns based on your own historical understanding of the machine behavior, and eventually looking into predictive maintenance, which is using data-driven failure prediction on maintenance scheduling, right? Based on the machine health diagnostic. If you move there, you're actually able to tell when the machine will start to break down at an earlier point of time. And of course, when you look at prescriptive maintenance, it actually tells you based on the domain knowledge of what you have, to tell you how you would solve this machine problem, right? Based on the data sets that you collect. So that's how analytics can really help you to actually speed up your decision-making process. So if you look at this chart on this, basically looking at latency versus the value of adaptation, right? It all boils back down to reducing your time, right? To make a decision, right? And analytics can support you in that kind of decision-making process because it is using data-driven kind of methodologies to actually tell you what has happened, why it has happened, what will happen next, and of course, what can you do to solve it, right? And predictive analytics solves reduces the time of analysis latency, as you can see here, reducing that time of event. And prescriptive analytics helps you to reduce your decision latency, right? So that you can make decisions faster, you can take actions faster, and therefore reduce your time. Because in a whole cycle of manufacturing, time is money, right? And as much time as you can reduce, more simplistically, you can actually save a lot of costs. So what are the sort of data analytics strategies that we can use for smart manufacturing, right? Basically going back to these 4 areas again, right? Descriptive analytics basically tells you, that what is happening in your business. So if you have comprehensive and accurate and live data, basically real-time data being provided to you, you can then do effective visualization. With data, you can actually understand and drill down to the root cause more efficiently or more effectively. You're able to isolate, the possible root cause that doesn't make sense. Predictive analytics then helps you to identify, right, based on the historical data trends that you have, what's going to happen next, whether is your machine going to fail soon, or is your machine going to have some issues very, very soon, or based on the production input today, what is the expected outcome that you intend to achieve based on many variables like operator dependency, raw material dependency, machine efficiency for the past few months. So those will give you more foresight on what's going to happen, right? And prescriptive analytics would tell you, at a given point of time, what can you do to improve this, right? So a very simplistic way to put data analytics is thinking about your Google Translate, right? When you put Google Translate, it detects your language and then it changes to tell you what is the translated language that you want to have. The same thing for machines, right? Only thing they talk to you in signals, right? So you have a set of data sets, which is basically a signal trend that will tell you how's the machine condition moving, how is it working at the moment, what's its behavior, and what are the sort of signature or trends that you can identify problems in the machine, right? So think about it, for example, like this: when there's a data going in, it's able to tell you anomaly is detected. That means something is wrong. Where is having the issue? So you can drill down to the root cause, and of course, giving you more information or more insight that the machine is going to shut down in 15 minutes. So you can start to plan, the right resources or the right maintenance team to come in and solve the motor problem. Hence, reducing your time of analysis and decision-making delay, right, and latency, so that you can then move faster, more efficiently, and get to solve the problem even more effectively. So bringing it deeper into this particular chart, right, it's all based on time again, right? You talk about your machine health condition, you talk about the over time, machine will definitely wear and tear, will deteriorate over time, right? That's why you have maintenance schedule. So what you want to do is, you want to bring forward, right, predictive maintenance strategies so that you can identify the potential issue before it reaches functional failure. When you reach functional failure, definitely you have to do reactive maintenance. That's something, there's no choice, the machine already break down. But what you want to do is to identify what are the key decisions that you need to make before it reaches to functional failure, and basically increase your P to F interval over time. So give you an example of this particular video that you see here. Basically, what you're looking at here is actually what we are remotely monitoring currently at the smart factory, right? And basically, you have a motor running. And if you look at the chart at the bottom, it actually shows the blue chart is actually a forecast of data sets based on historical data of the motor running, right? So having this forecasted data will tell you that, okay, the motor is expected to run like this, right? It's expected to have this kind of data sets over time. And basically telling you that, okay, the motor is still healthy. There's nothing to worry about if the actual data matches the forecasted data. But what happens if, for example, your motor has wear and tear, your motor has issues that you are not aware of, and eventually it starts to deviate from the blue line, right? So let's go to the next graph, and you can see that, over time, you are trying to still forecast what the forecasting methods are still there. But over time, when your motor has wear and tear, you can see that it starts to deviate from the forecasted data sets that you have predicted, right? So that predicted data sets will tell you what is going to happen next, right? But if it doesn't follow what is happening next, that means something is not right with the machine, or something is not right with the operations. And there is really something that you need to take note of and to check whether or not the motor has issues, or maybe there are some other underlying problems that we are not aware of. Is it a sensor fault? Is it an actuator fault? That is something that we really need to find out. But this is what data analytics can do for you. It forecasts what will happen next, and then it will inform you if, for example, your data sets do not match the forecasted data sets. So basically what you're doing here is you're doing anomaly detection based on predictive analytics that you have implemented in your system, right? So by having condition monitoring, basically collecting of a lot of data sets, right, you already have insight And now you have foresight on what's going to happen next. And if it doesn't follow what your predicted values are, that means you know something is not right, right? So that's where you talk about anomaly detection, which is then used more frequently in predictive maintenance, because you then can predict at that particular time interval that your motor or machine is having an issue already, right? So this is an earlier onset of identifying a problem before it actually gets worse, right? And then you can use data-driven root cause analysis using the data analytics strategy to give you prescriptively what you should do next, you know, if this kind of situation happens based on your domain knowledge. So you talk about 8D data-driven strategies, you know, to really solve your problem and your root cause. So a lot of times people think about, you know, analytics being very difficult to implement because you hear about Python, you know, a lot of coding methodologies that's needed. But what I'm here to share with you is that nowadays there's a lot of possibilities with what we call as flow-based development tools, right? You know, give an example of this particular diagram here. Is basically blocks of nodes. We call it nodes that, you know, you can just connect, drag and drop, and it is able to give you some form of information to segment a customer base and predict the risk of churn, right? Risk of churn basically is if you have a customer database, what is the likelihood of a customer not subscribing to you anymore, right? Based on the historical trends, based on the subscription model, you know, for a telecom industry, right? That is actually very important because we all subscribe to Maxis, Celcom, Digi, any other telco providers, right? But what is the risk of you porting to another line, right? That is something that, you know, analytics can help you to understand as well. So, you know, having that kind of flow-based development tools, right? And understanding the underlying technologies or algorithms related to data analytics, you can basically use the same knowledge and use another tool, right? So this is another set of software that we use, you know, for our data analytics program to actually also do the same thing, predicting the risk of churn, right? It's just different set of blocks, which one works better for you. And it's all drag and drop process. So there's very minimal coding or very low code platform. So basically, in other words, anybody can sort of embark on the data analytics journey at a much easier phase. So the flow for data analytics is very straightforward, right? It all talks about the process of data acquisition first, right? As a first step, storage, processing, then developing your model, because you need to have a model of what is good and what is bad, right? You train and validate your model, and then you deploy, you integrate, you visualize, and you validate. So the validation process is very important because you don't want to have false positives, right? You don't want to have your machine telling you that it has a problem, but it's actually not, right? So you need to continuously validate your model, and the important part of it is always your historian data set. So data storage is very key in terms of data analytics. And of course, it also goes back to what kind of data are you actually putting into the system, right? Is it redundant data, right? For example, if you put in a data set that has no correlation whatsoever to whatever you want to predict, then it doesn't give you any useful information, and therefore you're just putting in a model that doesn't correlate well with you or what you want to predict. So the importance of quantity and quality of data for data analytics is very important. Now, often at the time we hear the word big data. Yes, there's a lot of volume of data that many companies are utilizing. But of course, in terms of the manufacturing side of things, it's about data that works for you and what correlates well with what you want to achieve. So think about the volume of data. Basically, what kind of data size you need. Do you need a 1 week set of data? Do you need a 1 month set of data to do a prediction? You know, does your data have seasonality, right? For example, January, it looks like this. February, it looks like this. You know, December, it looks like this. So that is seasonality kind of data. Then you talk about velocity, which is the speed of when data is generated. So, you know, sometimes machines run at different frequencies, right? Their cycle time. So the speed of data generated also is important because you need to see how fast you sample the data sets to give you what is the useful information. For example, if the motor already moved to another position and then you only capture it, then you're not capturing whatever that's in between, right? So that basically, you know, you need to understand what is the speed of data or the sampling rate that you need to have. Variety. Now, this component is also very important. What are the sort of variety of data sets that you want to look at in terms of predicting what is going to happen for your motor, for example. Do you need torque? Do you need velocity? Do you need position? Do you need voltage, current, power? So all these are basically variety of data sets that you need to have to do some form of predictive analytics, right? Even for customer, data that you want to identify the risk of churn, right? You need to understand, okay, for example, where's the demographic? Where do they stay? How frequent, how many phone calls do they make in a month, right? How long their phone calls are in a month? Are they satisfied with the service whenever they make a complaint, right? So these are the kind of things that will give you valuable information on your forecast of what's going to be your next year's revenue, for example. Veracity, data accuracy is very, very key. Now, you need to understand that whether the data you collect is actually accurate, right? It's not giving you false information. And of course, eventually the value of data. Like what I mentioned, you need to collect useful data, and use that useful data to identify what is the next step, right? What is the next forecast? If the data is not useful for you, it's pretty much not usable for any kind of predictive analytics moving forward. So the data and AI landscape, for 2020, like this chart here shows you, I know it's very small, but that's because there's so many companies out there that are actually embarking on their data analytics and AI journey, right? And there are a lot of platforms out there that you can actually scope. You're free to scope out and review any form of platforms that works well for you in terms of your data analytics strategy. So when you talk about big data, maybe you talk about Hadoop, or maybe you talk about SAS, right? The platforms that we use, are like Dataiku, Nime, or some people use Python. So it's really up to the end user, which one they are more comfortable with. And of course, there are many, many tools out there which you can explore. And I will definitely encourage you to explore that, for yourself and understand what is the underlying technologies related to data analytics that suits your company operations. So now, if we talk about data analytics, all the mathematical things behind it, what are the tools available? What are the software that are available to help you make that kind of next step in terms of data analytics? Data analytics, one thing important is require knowledge on your algorithms that are used. Basically, those are the competencies that are needed. The quantity and quality of data are very key to improve your prediction and forecasting accuracy. But one thing that's very, very important that many people might not notice is that the domain knowledge is very, very important in data analytics, right? If you give me a set of data sets and I plot it, I will just see a set of graphs and a set of numbers, and I don't know what the numbers are doing, right? Because I may not have the right domain knowledge to your particular operations, right? But so domain knowledge is very, very important, right? You need to understand what the data is telling you, right? That's why visualization is very, very important, formulation. So what the data is telling you, and that will actually give you a better understanding to what algorithms you need to use to give you the right prediction and the right forecast strategy. So those are the things that you need to have in terms of domain knowledge, and domain knowledge starts with talent development, right? You need the people in your factory to apply it. It's not a plug and play solution. So therefore, you need the right people in the factory to understand what the data is telling you, and then you can move forward with data analytics. So what are the key advantages of implementing data analytics, right? You get to improve your competitiveness, right? You have analytics to optimize your operations, right? You reduce your cost of operations, right? If you put analytics into, let's say, your energy management or management of peak demand, right? You can actually identify, what is your maximum electricity forecast, for the next few months, and then you can start to manage it more efficiently. Improving your sales and performance using analytics to identify who are your next leads, right? Whether this lead that you have spoke to is actually going to generate revenue for you, right? So those are the things that AI and analytics able to do for you. Production insights, right? You get to understand what are the sort of forecasts of your production, given the set of variables that you put in. And then you can identify what's your production output that is capable or targeted or forecasted. Reducing your machinery costs. Of course, when you have predictive analytics, you identify when the machine is going to break down at the earliest state of time. You can already apply the right methodologies before your machine actually breaks down, right? And if you look at it in terms of preventive maintenance, which is scheduled, sometimes, when the machine is idling, it's not in operation for a long time, maybe it doesn't really need to have a PM, right? Preventive maintenance. So then you improve your decision making. Basically, you make better decisions because you make data-driven decisions, right? And you get to visualize your performance, more efficient operations, and more effective operations as well. So now, how do you then move to the next step, right? And as I mentioned, data analytics is more of requirement of a domain knowledge to actually apply all these tools that are available for you. There are many tools out there, many libraries, but what is it that you need to do to actually optimize that, to actually enable, you know, the right people to actually help you in your operations? So looking at this chart again, and I think many of you who have attended our webinars before would have seen this particular chart, which is basically what we call as data automation maturity levels, right? If you want to embark on your journey on data analytics, right, you need to have, you know, the first step, which is data generation, level 1, right? You need to be collecting data, and by means of collecting data, it's not manually collecting and putting it in Excel. That's not very efficient. It's all about automatically collecting data at a fixed frequency, right? And you talk about visualization. Basically, you visualize what's your trends, you know, over time. You store those data because those are important to you. Your data storage strategies are very key. You formulate your data where you actually understand some form of small kind of analytics, and then only you move into predictive analytics, which is true data analytics strategies, right? And how these are packaged is basically in some of our programs, right? We have all the way from level 1 to level 5. So if you are ready to embark on data analytics journey, you are welcome to contact us. We are more than happy to help you to start your data analytics journey, where we will, in this program that we have, we will help you to identify basic knowledge, techniques used for data analytics in a more in-depth manner from what I presented today. You're able to utilize the data analytics tools in which we use mainly flow-based development tools. So it's all drag and drop to explore, prepare, and develop your models. Able to create and evaluate suitable algorithms. That's very key. Remember, the whole idea about data analytics falls right on domain knowledge. So if you have the right domain knowledge, you know, you have better accuracy, better prediction capabilities, and you should be able to expand very fast. So basically, in a nutshell, this is what we do at the Malaysian Smart Factory. We do tech talent development. We have a technology learning platform. Proof of concept and lighthouse projects are what we do. We have a live demonstration of technology. So once CMCO is lifted in Selangor, we welcome everyone to come and visit. And of course, digital training is what we are working on as well. So yep, stay in touch with us. We do have updates from time to time on various talent development strategies and also technology developments at the Smart Factory, in which we work continuously to support the industries. And you know, you're welcome to always contact us, get in touch with us, and understand what we do further. So with that, that's all I have for everyone today.
Q&A session with both of our speakers.
All right, thank you, Iza. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our session. So I've got a few questions, and I'm going to start with the one posed in the Q&A box from an anonymous attendee. She's asking a question for you, Sharon, actually. She wants to know how much does it cost to implement ERP?
How much does it cost to implement ERP?
Yes.
I should say it's very subjective, depend on how you're going to be start. Normally, averagely we see to deploying an ERP system, it can be started with a cost above like 200,000. But normally we say choose the right solution when you want to make a decision to select an ERP system. You have to understand your process well and pick the right one instead of just jump into one of that. Then because when you just select simply pick one of the ERP system doesn't suit your industry, it may cost you a lot because you need to do a lot of customization.
Right. Okay. I hope that answers the question. I move on to the chat panel. Questions from Gideon. And he's asking, what additional hardware and software are needed to install monitor motor, like the example presented? I think that's for you, Dr. Chua. How much does it cost approximately?
Okay, so basically what we have shown in the presentation just now is monitoring of a motor, right? And what we did was we actually use a PLC together with AC motor driver to actually monitor what we the velocity and also the torque, right? What kind of software that are available? There are many softwares out there. Basically, the ones that we use are basically open. So you can just download it. You can definitely use it. It's actually what we also teach in our programs. So you can definitely look into it as well under a different program sets that we have. And basically, monitoring motor temperature gauges, flow meters are basically capable of doing as well. So I would say that the hardware required, definitely you need to scope out what kind of hardware you need, what kind of value added parameters you want to measure, right? And from there, then you can identify whether it is capable to be integrated to the software platforms that we use, and definitely you can start from there. So definitely, I would say that the cost of it would mainly be based on hardware, and of course, your internal talents that are ready to embark on a journey to implement that on your own. Yeah.
Any ballpark amount?
Well, depends on the hardware cost. So it's really, if you're talking about software costs, I would say software is already available there. It's ready for you to use. We just need to teach you how to do it. In terms of hardware, that's something that I cannot give a ballpark figure. Yeah.
Okay. He has a few follow-up questions. What is the most common software used for motor monitoring, temperature gauges, flow meter, etc., for manufacturing processes? And I think the subsequent questions I will just provide as well. How long does it take for any manufacturing processes that do not have data collection up to the point where prescriptive data analytics can work? So he's talking about zero base all the way to the point where you have enough data over a period of time where you can have some form of prescription summary to be provided.
Okay.
Two questions
right.
there.
Yep, understood. The common software that I use, I think there are many available out there. It can be PLC based or non-PLC based. So the ones that we use are mainly a mixture of both. In terms of IoT, we use mainly non-PLC based strategies to collect information from motor, temperature gauges, and etc. It's all about the communication protocol that you need to identify. So is it this sensor has a RS232, RS485, or is it Ethernet capable, or is it Wi-Fi, ZigBee, or MQTT capable? So those are something that we need to explore. And there's a common platform of software that we use to actually do all the IoT related programs. Those are under our data generation program that we teach you how to collect data from machines and identify what are the key parameters. In terms of how long do I propose, for a manufacturing that does not have data? Okay, now we need to do some data collection at some point, right? So the one that I identified just now is volume, variety, and of course, the frequency of your data collection. So you need to identify within a month, for example, is it sufficient for you within a month, to identify your trends of your machine, right? So you need to observe a trend. That's why visualization is important. So after a span of 1 month, you see, oh, the trends look quite similar from your eyeball, to see your trends look quite similar. Then you can apply some form of data analytics strategy to say that, okay, in this 1 month, I've identified that this is how the trends will be. Then I'm going to forecast what's going to happen next month. Now, then next month, let's look at the data again. Is the forecasting method actually okay? If it's good, then validate again, right? Then the next month, you already have 2 months of data sets. So you can actually use these 2 months to improve your model further, then move on to the 3rd month. So the cycle repeats itself to validate, explore, and then deploy. Yeah.
All right. So I guess overall, it depends how complicated the manufacturing processes is, and your recommendation would be to start portion by portion.
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. I hope that answers your question, Gideon. I now go back to the Q&A box. Another anonymous attendee, may I ask which are the partners that we're working with for Smart Factory? So Shen, I think this is a question for you. Partners for our Smart Factory programs.
Oh, okay. For our Smart Factory programs, we have many partners. It really depends on which program we are offering. So in terms of, we have a suite of partners in our Smart Factory wall. So we have Siemens, Omron, and many others. So it really depends on what you're looking for, and then maybe we can understand your requirement, and then we can explore further.
Right. Okay. I hope that answers your question. Next question is for Sharon from Chua. So far, he understands that ERP is only suitable for a sizable company. So is it applicable to SME? Is there a smaller system, Sharon?
Okay, this question I think how I can share is I think a lot of people have a misconcept that ERP system is only like suitable for those sizable or bigger organization. But in fact nowadays in the market, like just now the top ERP solution I'm sharing in my slide, one of my slide mentioned that in fact it also suitable for all the SME. Honestly, I'm in Johor. Most of my customer is from the SME. They are started from a very small because when you started an ERP, it doesn't mean you must implement the whole module or the full module. You can be start deploying module by module basis based on the related that in problem you have it. Usually I will advise my clients that when you want to deploy an ERP system, where is your pain point first? What is the main objective you want to achieve? Start from there, but do not start very big, which is perhaps your team is not ready and which is it may cost you a lot. So don't worry about it. Nowadays, ERP is already very common in the market, and the pricing for the ERP is no longer like the past that it will go for, everyone hear about ERP is go for $1 million or whatever. No, you can go for the SaaS model if you would like to start it up, because you can go for the subscription basis. Okay, so you may be able to start with a lower cost.
All right, I think Chua has a follow-up question. How do you do integration between ERP and other shop floor systems like MBS?
Okay, how we do integration. Okay, as in the modern right now, we talk about API. We talk about the web integration, so it can be collect the data real time by using the API connector. So there is one of the method is the automation. Another method we may like go back to the traditional. If you are using those like ERP system that they do not have the web API connector, then we can use the text file method to do the upload and download method, which we do that before for our client as well. So both is work.
Okay, thank you for that, Sharon. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to post your questions in the chat box, Q&A box. We still have got a couple of minutes before the webinar finishes, so I'll encourage questions. Now, while we wait for questions, Sharon, I'd like to sort of ask you a question. Yeah. So what are the key benefits of ERP for SMEs? Like, what are the ROIs that you usually would be able to see within, say, first 3 months, subsequently 6 months, and then a year? So I think for a lot of bosses out there, what they want to see is, I'm going to be investing quite a bit of money in this. What would be my obvious ROI, short-term as well as long-term? Sharon, you're muted.
All right, sorry.
Okay.
Regarding this, what is the key benefit that as the business owner, what you will see within 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? Like initial, as mentioned, what is the objective? Usually, we will when we go into a project, we will tell the customer, could you share with us what is the main pain point and the objective you want to achieve? So by using that, we can set it as a KPI to manage the project performance. So we will, I think a lot of people are facing a problem like, I need to be like, do the automation for my payment online instead of user manually key. So this one, it can be immediate, like when they're deploying the system, they can apply it with any bank. So in terms of that, then they will see the ROI. So in terms of ROI, it can be said within a year, you can see reduce a lot of the manual. When you're doing the reporting, you want the real time. A lot of my customers nowadays, they know using the mobile. They can using the mobile to view their sales, performance, customer outstanding. So reaction it faster. So that is what the feedback they're giving back to us.
I see. Okay. So essentially it is being able to automate processes. Yeah. So you can reduce on HR costs and you can reduce in terms of, improve in terms of efficiency because you can make decisions faster because the data is readily available.
Yeah, you can improve your resource, the talent for your resource in other place, just rather than just do the data entry for you day in, day out.
Yeah, okay. All right. So I have a question for Dr. Chua. How important is data accuracy towards an effective ERP implementation? Data accuracy. How important is it?
So I think having the right data accuracy would actually help to ensure that the entire process right in the ERP actually works out for everybody. For example, let's say if your data entry is not accurate in terms of inventory, right? You're actually producing more parts than what is actually required. and then you have overloaded of inventory later on. And then if you don't manage the data accuracy properly, you have items or equipment lying around everywhere. Your scheduling is not done right. Your OEE is not produced properly. So people do not know what to forecast next, right? So that's why data accuracy is very, very important. Validation of the data and the volume that you push into the ERP system is also very, very important.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Chua. We don't have any more questions coming in. So I'll just close the Q&A session then. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your questions and comments. I'm going to hand the session back to Iza right now.
Okay.
All right, great. Thank you, everybody. Let me just give me a minute here. Right. Okay. Right. Thank you, Dr. Chua. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Yilin, for a great session. I think it was pretty productive today. And like I said, we have a polling session now, and it's very brief. We only have 3 short questions, which I'm going to launch right now. And we'd really appreciate your feedback. You can let us know, did the webinar meet your expectation? Did the webinar motivate you? And would you consider signing up for a full program? Okay. Once again, I'd just like to thank everybody for joining us today for today's session. We hope it's been beneficial for you. And if you have any questions or any inquiries, please contact the numbers listed on your screens right now. And have a good rest of the day.